Welcome and thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. Day 2 of the Democratic National Convention is wrapping up, and the most anticipated speaker of the day were former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. The Obamas helped raise tens of millions of dollars for President Biden before he dropped out of the race, and their early endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris provided a big boost for her campaign.
We have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. Someone who sees you and hears you and will get up every single day and fight for you. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Now, the theme for today was a bold vision for the future, focusing on economic issues. A major campaign issue for Harris in this election is how she would handle the economy. Our panel is here tonight. Political analyst Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld from the Houston Community College, Republican talk show host Angela Box, the chair of the University of Houston Downtown Political Science Department, Dr. David Branham, and former president of the NAACP in Brazoria County, Eugene Howard. Glad to have you all here. Angela, we got to start with you.
Hi,
We've got the Republican resident here on The Factor Uncensored. So your thoughts about former President Obama and many of the other speeches you heard tonight?
Well, let me just say something nice. It would appear that tonight, at least, Kamala Harris, when she addressed the crowd, did not appear inebriated. So that's a nice change. This is what I would like to say that the DNC has been about so far. It's like the Oprah. You get an abortion, and you get an abortion, and you get an abortion, because it seems to me that the Democrat Party has literally nothing to run on except abortion, transing children, illegal aliens, and I guess Kamala Harris, being the brilliant economist she is finally going to hack communism, even though she was pretty much known as a literal buffoon until about 6 weeks ago. I just think that the idea that this woman who got no votes in 2020, she had to drop out before Iowa, she word salads her way through everything. There's now a lot of smoke with this idea that she might be impaired a lot of the time, which is why she won't do any interviews. But Obama talking about she's the new hope and whatever, this isn't going to fly.
All right, let's bring in Eugene Howard, the Democrat here. Your thoughts about this, Eugene?
Well, thank you, Isaiah. Well, as I hear someone say, people sound like buffoons. Her name is Kamala. Comma, like the comma. Let me break it down so you can really understand. Comma, and then la. So we can be intelligent if we want to talk about people's intelligence. If we really want to talk about word salads, are we going to talk about Donald Trump and getting shocked by sharks, or Hannibal Lecter? Or how about the Medal of Honor is the same as the Presidential Award of Freedom? I mean, just denigrating and disrespecting the military. If we're going to talk about childless cat ladies, and how somehow the man who has interracial children seems to be against interracial marriage. So if we're going to talk about platforms, if you want to talk about abortion here, abortion there, all I can say is run on the platform. Oops, I'm sorry, Donald Trump said you couldn't. You couldn't fix the border because he said you can't do it because I want to run on that. You couldn't fix the economy because we was in the droves until the Biden-Harris administration came through with the bills and fixed it. So we're in a great place, and please keep mispronouncing her name. There are millions of Americans who have different kind of names.
David Branham. Dr. Branham, your assessment of this, your leveled assessment of this.
I'll try to be level.
Okay.
This is typically how a convention goes, right? It's a big political campaign with one side talking and the other side quiet. And so the Democrats are doing a good job here, just like the Republicans did a good job. They're conducting their campaign during this convention. And tonight was one of the highlight nights. So when you have Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, they're the royalty of the Democratic Party. And when they come out, they get attention. So this, I think, they're doing their job as far as the Democratic National Convention goes. They're doing it, you know, they're getting a bump in the polls. Kamala is at the top.
Kamala, please.
Kamala is at the top. Okay. Is that
Maybe
okay?
we should ask
Hey,
Willie
I'm just saying,
Brandt.
if, come on, we're going to say
Harris
her name
is
correct.
You say VP Harris.
There we
VP
go.
Harris
Today.
is peaked.
Vice President Harris.
Thank you.
She is peaked. Right now, she's on a peak. Donald Trump was on a peak before. She's brought that down. So as far as the conventions goes, they're doing their job.
All right. Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld, your thoughts on this and what you have seen in day 2 so far and maybe what you have seen in day 1.
You know, I believe that day 1 and day 2, I'm going to reemphasize what Dr. Branham mentioned, which is that this is exactly what it's supposed to be, a hoorah, a feel-good festival. But when we talk about the pronunciation of the names, we're also seeing how there's an emphasis.
And the Democrats have made that an issue, right?
Right, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what are the issues? And when you're talking about swing voters, if you're talking about convincing people, feel good is fantastic, but it doesn't sway middle of the road or fence voters. And so when we talk about these ideas, it's cute to say AOC as opposed to Representative Ocasio-Cortez. It's cute to say Kamala or however you want to say it instead of Vice President Harris. But at the end of the day, what are the economic issues? What's the inflation rate? What's the jobless rate?
And have we seen that so far from this convention?
At this point, no, but it's not supposed to be because it's a one-sided speech and it's reinvigorating the base. One of the biggest challenges you're going to see, though, is inauthenticity of some of the candidates, and that goes for AOC with the accent comments and some of the ideas where they were trying to bring in President Obama to bring this base.
We're going to take a quick break
Right.
here and we'll come back and we'll let you finish that thought, or maybe I'll pretend you never finished. Back to the Factor Uncensored. We're talking about the Democratic National Convention, day 2. So, Dr. von Biedenfeld, have you heard any substance in 30 seconds?
Very moderate substance. And so a lot of this emphasis is on how bad Trump is. And we know Zig Ziglar will tell you about integrity. You don't have to have it, you know, if you don't want to be a leader. And so a lot of this has been about character and fitness, but not as much on numbers. So the numerical data is just not there.
All right, Angela, from what you have seen, have you seen any substance, and what's your takeaway?
No substance whatsoever. Again, it's the grievance committee just barfing their latest grievances. This is a situation where the party in charge that has opened the border, ruined the economy, making homes completely unaffordable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are now telling you, hey, I know we're the ones that screwed it all up, but you know what? Put us back in charge because we're not going back to $1.89 gas and a closed border and a functioning country. We don't want to go back to that whatsoever. You know, keep it up, guys, because this is going to be fun.
All right, Eugene, is this the party that's responsible for many of the problems that we have in America, the Democrats?
Well, every incumbent president is going to bear some responsibility of the current state, whether it's perceived to be the truth or factually the truth. What I would say to that is every time I hear Republicans talk about the border, you can't talk about that. We had a bipartisan border bill that wasn't drew up by a Democrat, by a very conservative Oklahoma senator, and you guys said no because Donald Trump said, I want to run on the issue. And when you talk about the economy, the GDP is really great right now. The stock market is really great right now. When you talk about jobs created, the Biden-Harris administration has had more job growth. And again, we have more people that are not crossing the border today than when your guy, the orange man, was in power. So when you talk about those issues, let's talk about the facts.
Need in order to connect with Vice President Harris here?
Well, I think policy issues are often not a good strategy, and this is not unusual. This has gone through history. People don't talk about issues because typically people agree with you until you tell them otherwise. So they're very careful on that. So that's the strategy going forward. And you listen to Michelle Obama tonight, it was basically, look, we're going to have to work hard to win this election. I think Donald Trump's very happy he's not running against her.
All right. Dr. von Biedenfeld?
I mean, bringing in the Mesa Republicans, that's fantastic. Mesa Mayor, in terms of showing this transfer of power from the, or I should say mandate, but the downside is the folks they brought in weren't heavyweights. They didn't bring any generals. They didn't bring anybody that brought real gravitas to the message of Republicans are switching sides. So I really think that President Obama should have been first and last on that ticket.
20 seconds to wrap us up.
The gaslighting about the border is absurd. Joe Biden has allowed in 12 to 20 million people, including 385 million unaccompanied minors. They've just lost track of these children. The jobs report that you're citing has now been revised down, so that's more gaslighting. These people are a complete failure.
And really
Idle
quick, Dr. Von
shadoodles
Beaton,
all
so
over
your
the
eyebrow
stage.
went up when she said 385 million children.
Well, it's more,
Please.
it's not quite that high.
Thank you.
Three-
Thank you guys for joining.